Well, meantime, a lot of the cryptocurrency traders are in a bit of a dilemma. They have actually moved their virtual digital assets to the wallets of a lot of offshore exchanges like Binance, and now they're facing a bit of a dilemma as they fax their income tax return, which for the first time VDA finds a mention. What are the do's and the don'ts? How should crypto traders go about it? My colleague Bhavya Dua joins in with all the details. Bhavya, take it away.
As the last date to file your ITR approaches, traders are in dilemma about disclosing cryptocurrency as a foreign asset. Now let's understand why this dilemma arises in the first place. Now thousands of cryptocurrency traders who have moved their virtual digital assets to wallets of offshore exchanges like Binance face a dilemma to file their income tax returns forms in which first time there is a mention of VDAs. They're unsure whether to disclose their overseas crypto holdings. Does transferring the coins from a wallet on an Indian exchange to an overseas purse which is offered by an overseas exchange make the VDAs a foreign asset in the eyes of income tax department? However, and if it does, then hiding the information would be a gross violation. However, if they disclose the VDAs as foreign assets, it may later be construed as a breach of the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is FEMA. Now, simply because moving cryptos originally purchased in India to a wallet abroad can be interpreted as a cross-border flow of currency in the garb of VDAs. And reporting of any foreign asset without matching remittance of currency through banking channels could be questioned later. So what you should actually do? Let's look at some of the possible treatments of the same while filing your ITR. A taxpayer has to report income from transfer of VDAs in the ITR, requiring you to pay tax on the money you make on crypto sale. While there is no explicit provision of disclosing VDA assets, many professionals think it should be reported. So a person holding bitcoins in a Binance wallet should ideally disclose the VDAs as a part of your overall asset, as well as report them as other assets under the foreign asset schedule in the ITR form. And this would save you the trouble that FEMA would cause you.
Let's kickstart the show then by putting the spotlight on Skyroot Aerospace. The company has actually been the startup that's behind the first private space launch, as well as it has actually test-fired a 3D printed engine. Let's connect then with Bharath Daka, who's the co-founder and COO at Skyroot Aerospace. Thanks so much for joining in. Bharath, so much to talk about because along with ISRO, you've actually enabled a successful rocket engine test. Just tell us a little bit more about how that went off and what your contribution was as Skyroot.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. The test we have done recently is a Raman-II, it's called Raman-II engine, which we use in our upper stage of our rocket in making. So this test has proven our hardware capability, and like the textbook performance which we were able to achieve was very encouraging. So this test, we were IPRC, the ISRO Center for the ISRO Propulsion Center, has enabled this test with the help of InSpace. So this has proven our capability and also has helped us learn the rigorous testing mechanism that goes into the testing the engine in the test facility of ISRO. Has given us additional confidence because we have been testing our engine. The previous version of this engine has been tested in our own facilities before, but the final version being able to test in the ISRO facility with their presence, and also they've been able to look at the performance of our engine. So this gives us confidence for our run up to our first launch, which we are targeting towards the end of this year.
And you guys are really at the forefront of cutting-edge technologies, 3D printing and green propellants. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so 3D printing actually enables rapid iteration of any design. So 3D printing of rocket engines has been into adoption in the past decade. And we've been able to demonstrate that capability not just with the storable liquid engine, which we have tested recently. We've even built a fully 3D printed cryogenic engine and have successfully tested that also. It's called the one even that we have tested recently. So 3D printing of rocket engine requires a design capability for 3D printing, and it enables us to do rapid iterations. What traditionally takes close to a year through conventional manufacturing can be realized just in 2 weeks. And if there is any improvement we need to do, also we can simply do it again in 2 weeks without even going through the long cycle of conventional manufacturing. That is the immense advantage that 3D printing brings to the table. And even in production, like all the liquid engines in our vehicle will be fully 3D printed going forward.
Okay, and I understand that one of the key USPs and what really makes Skyroot stand out is the fact that you're looking at the ability of, the first private space launch that will be at half the cost of the established launch companies. How exactly are you making that feasible?
So India, as such, has a well-known advantage. India is well-known as a spacefaring nation and the proven capability of executing space missions at fraction of cost of the Western counterparts. So that India cost advantage naturally translate to even the private entities like us operating commercial launch vehicles out of India. So once we become operational, due to the natural cost advantage of efficient operations and the manpower and the technological architecture we choose for our vehicle, this helps us to be able to execute and operationalize a launch vehicle, which will be significantly cost effective compared to the Western counterparts of similar launch vehicle sizes.
Okay, and Bharath, I also understand that Skyroot has signed an agreement with a French new space operator, Promethe. Can you tell us a little bit more about this tie-up and whether or not there are any more that you're looking at? This is for a satellite constellation?
Yes, indeed. So, recently, we've been fortunate to accompany Prime Minister or co-founder Pavan has accompanied Prime Minister in the CEO delegation from India. So, in the sidelines of that Indo-French event and in there, we have made some deals with the one of the prominent one is the Promethe one. It's an Earth observation satellite constellation who are exploring to launch their satellite constellation with our launch vehicle in the future once they become operational.
Okay. Let's also understand, a little bit more about some of your investors, because you've got the marquee Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund, GIC, that has backed the company. What has been the total fundraise that you have undertaken, and are you exploring any more fundraisers at the current juncture?
Cumulatively, we have raised funding of around 68 million, and yes, indeed, in the last year, August, we have raised 50 million capital, significant chunk of it, which is primarily led by GIC. And we have been fortunate to gain our both for our early stage investors and also to the late stage investors who have built trust on us, and we've been able to execute that. And with this current fund, to go till the first launch and even beyond that. And and as time progresses, we will be open to exploring new fundraisers in the future. But currently, all focus is towards getting to our first launch. Yeah.
Okay. Let's also get in a sense as to what the outlook is. When it comes to the kind of support that we've seen from the government as well, the fact that there has been a lot of thrust from the government to really push the global space launch market quite significantly. How much confidence does this inspire, and does this really help, propel your further growth ambitions?
Indeed. 2020 is the transformative year for Indian space sector when Honorable Prime Minister Modi has announced the space reforms, and it has culminated in formation of InSpace, a space regulatory and promotion body. And within 6 months from formation of InSpace, we've been able to achieve the first private launch from India on November 2022. For which even all the regulatory aspects that the InSpace has worked hand in hand, and there was absolutely zero delay due to the regulatory aspects for our first launch. And now all the regulatory framework for commercial private companies to operate in India, not just launch vehicles, satellites, everything has been established, and it's going to get even more formalized as we go further. This gives immense confidence, not just for the space entrepreneurs, but also space investor community, that the regulatory landscape is not only certain, but also moving forward progressively in a fast-paced manner than any country that has implemented these space reforms. That way, the vision of the Indian government to accelerate space reforms and to enable private space players to play a major role in the space economy of the future is going to become a reality very soon in this decade.
So is it true that you can actually build a new rocket in 2 days as you're working, towards that plan? You had spoken about this in the past, towards reusable rockets, and that, of course, was a technology that had been pioneered by SpaceX.
Yeah, so there are two separate things here. So addressing your first query of building a rocket in 2 years, it is essentially it's not building a rocket, it's making a rocket ready in 2 days. Basically, generally in rocketry, the final launch readiness aspects are going to generally take a long time if we don't plan the vehicle architecture and the systems properly. So here our approach is with a very modular architecture, we can assemble and do the final phase of checks and integrated checks. And those activities, what we are going to compress in a way that we can, at a rapid iteration, we can assemble and launch in like 48 to 72 hours timeline. So that is the key advantage of that is we can the ability to rapidly launch a launch vehicle from a given launch pad will be attained. And of course, to come towards your second thing, the reusable launch vehicle technology. Our first vehicle is not a reusable launch vehicle; it's an expendable launch vehicle. Generally, in small satellite launch vehicles, the most of the small satellite launch vehicles will be expendable launch vehicles. The economics of reusability doesn't play around well with the smaller launch vehicle. And the future of rocketry is indeed the reusable launch vehicles, as you rightly mentioned. SpaceX has pioneered this capability of reusing the first stage, and in future, in the coming decade, multiple all spacefaring nations will have the reusable launch vehicle capability, and India also will go that path. And Skyroot will be more than willing to participate in that endeavor to build a big, rapidly reusable launch vehicle in India.
So how does the competitive intensity stack up? Because there are a lot of established players, for instance, Richard Branson's Virgin Orbit, you've got Rocket Lab in the US, in China as well. There have been some pretty successful companies, at least, looking at the overall global landscape. Where does Skyroot currently stand?
So globally, there are multiple companies in the developmental phases. Currently, the only two operational private launch companies are SpaceX and Rocket Lab, and there are multiple counterparts who are in the US, European sector who are developing the launch vehicles in our phase. But our key advantage will still remain, our India advantage, our cost effectiveness advantage will still remain once we become operational. And we will be able to provide cost-effective, hence affordable, reliable launch solutions from India to the world once we become operational. These are confidence.
All right, good to have you on board. Thanks so much then, Bharath, for joining in and sharing with us the ambitions for Skyroot, and all the very best with all that breaking edge technology and new age technology that the company is adopting.
Thanks.
Moving right on then, we do know that the 28% GST that has been put on casinos and online gaming companies has come as a big blow to Delta Corp. We spoke first and exclusively to the management, to the CFO of the company, Hardik Debar, who speaks about what the impact is going to be on the 550 crore rupee IPO plan for Delta Tech. Listen in.
It is bad news because it is not practical and logical to implement what the government is asking. We as a company have been prone to, hikes, whether it is on the entry tax that was being levied at Goa, the license fees that we paid. And finally, the nail in the coffin, if I would say, was, increasing my entertainment tax from 15%, which I was paying in the pre-GST era, going to 28%. And fortunately, the business and the industry has been so resilient that we have taken that into the stride. Having said that, this doesn't mean that this methodology or this proposal that the government wants us to implement, one, we don't know what they are intending, what is the methodology of implementation, how do they want us to implement it. I don't think the fine print is yet out. So I think, well, we will have to manage it, we will manage it, but the fact of the matter is this is not the right way to do it. And I think, like I said, with the state governments in tow, in the entire industry and the investing community in tow, I think the government is very rational. And if I was to quote the finance minister, she very clearly said that it is not the intent of the government to harm the industry. It is not the intent of the government to shut down any industry. And if that is the intent, and which I genuinely believe is the intent, I am very hopeful and confident that something positive and something amicable, mutually acceptable will emerge out of it. I think the IPO will have to wait till there is clarity, because the investing community obviously would want to have clarity before they make an investing decision.
Well, Google, as part of their Startup Accelerator program, has selected a total of 20 Indian startups, and the latest one being AI-focused conversational startup LimeChat. Let's connect with Aniket Bajpai, who is the co-founder at LimeChat, who joins in to discuss what exactly it means, the company's growth plans, as well as roadmap. Good to have you on board, Aniket. How does it feel being selected by the Startup Accelerator program for Google? Clearly a stamp of approval. This, of course, after you've already got some very marquee investors on board.
Yeah, it really feels great, and it's great that Google is focusing on AI and has built this accelerator to really take strides in AI, and we're really glad to be a part of this.
Okay, also I just wanted to understand a little bit more about what the company does. You guys were founded in the year 2020, and you essentially use human-level AI chatbots for consumer retention. Walk us through how exactly it works.
Absolutely. So we started 3 years back, just before the pandemic hit. And me and my co-founder Nikhil, we have a background in AI research from IIT Delhi and from MIT. So we decided to use, so we were working on this transformer technology, which powers ChatGPT. We were working on that back in 2020, and we realized what kind of potential it had to revolutionize conversational experiences. So what we did was build the first human-level buying journey on chat, where you can go to a medium like WhatsApp, you can chat with the brand as if it is a local shop owner, right? As if it is your friend, you can get a recommendation, you can get answers to your questions. You can even buy, you can complete the purchase as well. So we realized that having this kind of human level conversational experience, right, that would be really revolutionary for commerce. Compared to a buying experience on a website where you have to go do a lot of work to figure out which product is right for you, go through a lot of content, right, to before you make the decision. This can just make your decision making and your entire buying experience very easy, very seamless, and very fun. So we decided to use our forte in developing conversational AI to build this kind of a buying journey and this kind of an entire customer journey from marketing, sales, and support on conversational mediums like WhatsApp and Instagram. And right now it has been really good. We are working with 300 plus large brands, and a lot of them are seeing a great delta through conversational AI and through WhatsApp.
So you're saying that this actually allows brands to even increase their campaign conversions by 3x and reduce their support workloads by 70%?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at the entire consumer journey, right, consumers think about WhatsApp as a channel just to talk to a brand. Now, this can happen when they first hear about the brand through marketing, like they see an ad, they directly come to WhatsApp, they're curious, they want to ask a question, right? And making it engaging reduces the customer acquisition cost. Or if you're an existing customer, you get a ping on WhatsApp, again, you are able to ask about the offers, you're able to see different products, you're able to make a combo, right? So that ends up driving up retention. And on the support side, if your order is late, right, if you want to return a product, if you can just open up your WhatsApp, message the brand and get it done within a minute, right? That is a really good experience. And this entire experience can get automated from the brand side. So we are able to drive the results that you said, right? A lot of automation, a lot of reduction in customer acquisition costs, a lot of retention through conversational AI on WhatsApp.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the client base that you have. You're working with over 125 brands in India. Which are some of the marquee names?
Yeah, there is a small correction because we work with 300 plus brands in India, and that includes many large e-commerce or D2C brands like Mamaearth, Wow Skin Science, Man Matters, M Caffeine, Neiman's Shoes, right? Snitch. So brands like that, as well as large enterprise players who are or retail giants who are now coming into e-commerce. People like HUL and ITC and Cipla and so on. Right. So we help them make WhatsApp one of their biggest revenue generating channels and a very profitable channel for their brand growth.
Okay, fair enough. Just take us through, some of the investors that you have on board, because there's, Flipkart CEO, you've got the Avanne co-founder, that is Sujit Kumar. Take us through how much has been pumped into the company by way of fundraise, and what has this been utilized towards so far?
Yes. So we have totally raised around $5 million till date. Our lead investors are Stellaris Venture Partners and Pi Ventures. And we have raised investors from several marquee angels, such as Kunal Bell and Rohit Bansal from Snapdeal, right? Kalyan from Flipkart, Sujit from Udan, Dilip from Deutsche Bank, Varun is the founder of Mamaearth, Revant is the founder of Man Matters, and many more marquee angels. And what we have used this is to build this really standout conversational experience, right? This human level AI experience, which is able to add this kind of delta to brands, which is able to generate 10% of the revenue for brands. And as a result, we have become the market leaders for WhatsApp commerce in India. We are in the mid-market and enterprise segment, we power most of the WhatsApp interactions, right? For commerce specific brands. So we are only focused on commerce, on commerce and retail brands. But over there, we have really gone deep and tried to solve use cases and capture all the big brands, right? So that is what our growth has been about.
Okay, let's also talk about your financials. Are you currently profitable? What is the revenue that you clocked in for the year gone by? What kind of growth projections do you have on your financial front?
Yeah, so we are between $1 to $1.5 million in terms of annual recurring revenue, and we are currently growing. We are not profitable in that sense. We are profitable at a unit level, but overall as a company, we are not profitable. But that is one that over the last 3 months, we have really focused on growing sustainably and driving up the gross margins, and we are seeing a very healthy path to profitability in the future.
Okay, so what is the overall size of the AI conversational market in the country? How are you looking to really tap into it and leverage the potential? If there are any other breakthroughs that you're likely to come out with when it comes to leveraging your tech expertise?
Yes, so overall e-commerce, right, as everyone knows, is a $1 trillion industry. It is a huge industry, and what we see is that 5 years from now, half of that is actually going to happen on conversational mediums, because it is just so exciting and so intuitive. And we have all seen that with ChatGPT now, what a conversational experience can look like. And we feel that 5 years from now, that is how people are going to buy. They're going to actually talk to brands. They would want to understand the story. They would want to understand the products, ask questions, do a real consultative experience, and then make a decision. Right, and we want to power that entire revolution, not just in India, but globally. We have a lot of customers based in Southeast Asia as well, in the US as well. And we are aiming to be the first to build that kind of experience, that kind of technology, and then really scale it, make something which each and every customer is interacting with.
All right, wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for joining in and walking us through the profile of the company and how you plan to grow going down the line.
Thank you. It was really great being here.
On that note, then, we're completely out of time on this edition of Startup Central. If you would like to connect with us, remember you can email us on suc@etnow.tv or on my Twitter handle. Do stay connected, and I'll catch you same time tomorrow. Bye.